we've all heard of Alexa or Siri, but there's a new AI device in development that's getting a lot of attention. The device will monitor and stop conversations if something said is not politically correct. It listens for triggering language like racial slurs, offensive jokes, and even slut shaming. It then emits an alarm. So the idea is it can be used in classrooms, universities, for PC police use, but it can even be used at dinner parties, family gatherings, maybe at your own home if you just want to ignite your own self-critique. All right, so what do we think about this?
Obviously, I want to attack this as being ridiculous, but as a teacher, I thought about like how this could be useful. And not only have I taught middle school, but I also taught English as a second language. And I think for people that don't understand sometimes what they're saying and how that could be offensive, maybe for people that are secondhand English learners, this could be helpful. I really do think that if you might say something to somebody that you might not mean to say because you don't really understand how things work in context. So maybe that's the only way I can find this useful.
That was a good job, buddy. That was a really good job. Because we were trying to find a way that would be
useful. I think so, yeah.
I would smash this in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I think it's very useful, but I want to hear from you because you're in agreement with Jeff.
I think it's really dumb. And I think what's really frustrating about it is...
I don't think your mic is on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here's why I think it's dumb. When I try and talk about cancel culture as being, people are rebranding it as everything, right? This dilutes my message. This is way too far. Human beings can have discernment. They can tell jokes satirical. They can have TV shows on with bad language. Huck Finn has bad language if I'm reading it in school. At no point do I need a robot to emit a 2-minute, extremely loud alarm instead of having a conversation that might be controversial. This feels like the right or what one side brought it to just dilute the message and make us look dumb.
I think everybody would have to be on board. So a university that seems way too much. How are you going to get the consent of everybody without them feeling publicly shamed?
That's already happening in universities without this thing.
Well, as far as this device goes, if it were in a household, for instance, let's say I got the consent of everyone in my household and we're not going to place shame on anybody. It's just to learn. Like, for instance, I'm going to be fully forthright with everybody right now. I went on Instagram and I used the hashtag river rat because I was sitting in a river. I had no idea it was an offensive term. I had no idea. I pressed send to go on Instagram and post my picture. Instagram stopped me. Thank goodness. And they had a little badge that said, this is an offensive term. I immediately Googled the term and I learned the origin of that term and how offensive it can be to certain communities. I was very grateful in that moment that I learned what that term really meant, how I could have offended and hurt someone. I never want to hurt someone. I would imagine most people don't want to hurt people. So I think it could be very beneficial if you can take the shame out of it and just use it as a learning tool. That's my opinion.
I think I might be down with that technology, just because it would just save you. Imagine if that had been allowed to go out.
I know.
But who's telling the robot what words you can and cannot use? That's a really subjective thing to emit an alarm.
Yeah, but how fancy is AI? I'm sure you could say, listen,
is it smarter than a brain where someone could have said...
They usually are smarter than a brain.
But could they say discernment, Sam? Like someone could have said, hey, that word means this. Does it need a robot?
But what if no one's in my household to tell me? I think every household can make their own decision. I don't think it should be placed in an environment without people's consent, because then shame's going to be involved. Yeah. And that's, to Jeff's point, it makes you almost push back when someone tries to educate you. But if it's in your own household, then you can tweak the AI by saying swear words, let's not apply those, only certain terms maybe, or offensive language. I don't know how you could tweak an AI. I'm pretty sure you could, given how evolved AI is, but I guess I'm for it with certain consenting groups.
Ooh.